Welcome back to another show. I'm so blessed to be back with you with another amazing guest and conversation. I'm your host, Elona, helping companies scale their purpose and profits. And today I have the amazing honor to have a guest all the way from Canada here in New York, Donna Dubé. And we're going to talk about leveraging your time, talents, without working more. I know how challenging that is, especially when you are scaling a company. It always feels like things always need your time and energy. However, Donna is an expert in this field, so she's going to show us or share her experience and expertise, I should say, around this very important topic. So we stay very focused on the right priorities and the right things that really need our time and can add the most value towards the scaling of our company. Donna, thanks so much for being here. I want to thank you ahead of time for your time and also for all the amazing experience share that you'll do today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Elona.
I'm very happy that you also are here, and I would like to let's jump right into today's topic. So, how do we leverage? Well, first of all, let's start with maybe some challenges that get in, entrepreneurs' way or founders' way when they're trying to scale a company, as far as their time and talents, without having the need or the feeling to kind of always react on things as they come onto us or set fires. What are some of the problems or challenges that maybe you have personally overcome, or you've seen a lot of your clients also do the same?
Yeah. And that is definitely a loaded question. We could talk about that all day. But to narrow in on some of the challenges, for sure, what I see both in my clients and also what I did in my own business, to tell you the truth, is working 24/7, right? Believing and having a mindset that I need to hustle and grind to see success. And that's not true at all. But we do need to focus our time, as you were saying, and be really purposeful on what we're doing. And so, as business leader, as CEO, we really have to critically analyze, is this thing that I'm doing necessary for me to do? And if it's not, do I need to delegate it either to a person on my team, to software tools to help me automate, or can I pause it because it's not actually giving me a return on investment? And so really thinking through that in different processes and different systems that we have in our business really helps to set the stage for how am I using my time? Because really time is our greatest asset, and we have to be so intentional and so purposeful. I mean, I'll just give an example. I remember a few years ago when I would start my day, turn on my laptop, into the email straight away. And there's 50 or 70 emails there waiting for me in the morning, and I'm diligently going through and reading each one and deciding where I'm going to put it or responding if I'm going to respond. And my phone starts dinging, and the team is asking questions on Slack, and something interesting on Instagram got my attention, so I'm over there. And next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 p.m., and I haven't touched any of the priorities that I have for my business. Right? I've let my day go, and I've, succumbed to everyone else's demands and let go of my priorities. Get to the end of the week and I'm like, I didn't have time to do a thing in my business this week.
Yeah.
And so we have to flip that script.
Mm-hmm. I love that you touched on so many things. And this is also an area that we're always growing, learning, and evolving, because we have new priorities. Our businesses evolve, our focus, changes, right? The things that we used to focus on maybe, I don't know, a couple of months ago are no longer the same priorities. And that goes back to timing and planning ahead of time for obviously the things that we will be focusing on. But I think what you said there is this concept of time that I also speak very often about. And I guess the more mature I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that time is actually the most important commodity, and it just like really flies by. And unless we are really intentional with what are those things that we're moving forward, because I feel like as entrepreneurs, we always have like these little projects that we're always moving forward. And entrepreneurship is like a big umbrella of just tiny projects. So half the time you're just project managing around the same, the big priorities towards the vision, mission, and values of the company. So yeah, I love that you also shared the fact that time is also very important. So saving time is definitely one of those things that it's really crucial. And I love the talent piece. So let's talk about that, right? So Many entrepreneurs, obviously, through the journey, discover a lot, around their talents, things that they do well, things that obviously they can always improve because it's also a journey of continuous improvement.
Mm.
How do we lean on those things that really shine our light, right? We hear it in so many different ways, or things that kind of light us up, or things that we do so organically or naturally, so that we can connect that to where we want to spend our time, and then delegate the rest of our business operational activities that obviously other people are talented to be able to do. So let's talk about talent a little bit. What's your insight on that?
Yeah. So when I use the word talent, it's kind of two facets. So one is, yes, where are my talents as business leader? And how can I make sure that through my day and through my week, I have time to be able to spend on those talents, right? Because that's my zone of genius. I may be running a business, but I've also got my own specialty, my own special sauce. And so, really allowing time in your week for that to happen and not being dragged into the day to day. So I know people frequently suggest do a time tracker where you write down, everything you did for the 2 or 3 days in a row. And well, people like me who really like to look at the data find that very interesting. Most of my clients and most visionary leaders do not want to
Are
spend the
you
time doing that. And so, really, what I suggest is not mapping out every minute where you're spending it, but looking at your day as a whole. And so, if I worked 6 hours today, did I have time for my three main systems: marketing, sales, and client delivery? Did I map out something? Did I map out new content that I have to do? Did I, go and do partnerships and networking that I have to do? And so, what I like to be able to do is separate tasks into two buckets: maintenance and growth. And so, maintenance tasks are things they have to be done in your business. But again, evaluate, does it have to be done by you? So things like your invoicing, your bookkeeping, changing something on a landing page, making social media images, getting emails sent out in a sequence. Those are things that have to be done in the business, no doubt, but not necessarily by you. The growth level tasks, however, that's where you want to be focusing your time. That gives you the greatest return on investment. So in growth level, we have things like networking, JV partnerships, teaching in someone else's masterclass or getting in front of someone else's audience, teaching in your own programs or services, whatever you have within your business, podcast guesting, right? These things where you're getting in front of other people and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, you can't delegate that to someone else. And so really sort of looking at what are those growth level tasks that need to happen in my business, and am I making sure I have time on my calendar to make that happen? And if you're anything like me, if it's not on the calendar, it's probably not happening. And so I really encourage all of my clients to have what I call a CEO Power Hour, which is really just 1 hour dedicated to reviewing, reflecting, and setting your priorities for the week. So you set 1 hour aside. It could be a Monday morning, could be a Friday afternoon, could be a Sunday. Doesn't matter the time, but you want to use the same time each and every week so it becomes a habit. And that's my time, that's my CEO hour. And so you're reviewing, you're looking at a few metrics, you're reflecting on what you have going on. Did I do marketing this week? Do I have something for sales? Am I inviting people to work with me? Am I getting in front of new audiences? And then what are my 3 priorities? So looking at, our big 12 yearly goals, breaking that down into 90 goals and then monthly goals. What's the next step I have to take to get me closer to my goal? And then getting that priority on the calendar. And that might involve communication, right? You may have to communicate with your team. You may have to communicate with your home life to say, you know what, I've got a really busy week this week. I'm traveling and I really want to do this part of my project. Can you help by taking this piece on, or delegating something to your team that you can do? And so it's really looking critically at, okay, I've got this many hours. How am I going to use them so that my priorities end up being looked at and taken care of by the end of the week?
I love all that you said. And Donna, what's coming up for me is, also knowing obviously the entrepreneurs that I also work with, sometimes what helps us is a checklist. So if you were to kind of just just give me maybe 5 of the highest. We always talk about, revenue generating activities in our business. So if you can maybe just recap your entire work now. I'm asking you to go back to, I don't know how long you've been in your career. I'm about to hear that a little bit after as well. But if you're kind of just to be like, okay, these are like the 5 fundamentals that only you as the founder and the CEO should be focusing on. And these are absolutely revenue generating activities. What would you say?
Good question. So not necessarily to directly tie to revenue, but vision has got to be in there, right? You need to know the vision and mission of your business, and you need to tell your team. Your team needs to know which direction you're rowing the boat and how you're getting there. So vision for sure has to be crystal clear. From there, definitely partnerships, networking, whatever that looks like for you and your business has got to be there. And then those 3 areas of marketing. So I like to think about marketing in 3 areas. So we're attracting new people to our audience who have never heard of us before. What's our strategy? Is that strategy working? Actually measuring if it's working. If it's not working, what can we tweak and change? If it is working and we have time, do we want to add on a second strategy to attract people? Second step, are we actually nurturing and connecting with them? So we've got their email, or we've had a discovery call, or whatever that looks like in your business. But now, how are we getting them to know us more? How are we sharing our value with them? And so making sure we're doing that connection, whether that's a podcast episode once a week, whether that's an email that you're sending once a week, whether that's a free training that you provide to your audience, but making sure that we have those opportunities. And then the third piece is, are we actually inviting them to work with us, right? So whether that's, again, through a flash sale, through email marketing, through social media, through a webinar, and then, selling something on the end, individual sales calls, whatever that looks like for your business, those things have to be happening each and every week. And so what I really encourage people to do is develop a process and a system for each of those that can happen, rinse, and repeat. Mm-hmm. And then dropping the ball. I've been there too, where it's like, I'm working, I'm busy doing client work, and then I forgot my marketing, and I'm not doing those activities in my marketing, and my pipeline dries out, and I don't have enough leads coming in. Oh, now I got to get back to marketing, right? And so to prevent that feast and famine, we're going to be doing those things on a consistent basis and measuring, are they working?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. For those of you that wanted a checklist, this is like its own masterclass, kind of just jotting those down. Because sometimes I feel like that moment of reflection, it's like, stop the noise. This is the 5 that it's always like on the rinse and repeat sort of thing. And I talk about systems a lot as well. And sometimes I'm like, business growth is kind of boring because you got to rinse and repeat a lot of things, for those that are more creative or kind of just get bored very fast. That's why you want to spend time on the things that light you up, and then have other people obviously that can do that or implement the right tools and systems. We're just talking about this tool that's allowing us to be able to have this conversation, right? So I think that's kind of working ahead in the business. And yeah, a lot of stuff is rinse and repeat, but I think it helps to kind of just hear things over and over, because we get validation, or we kind of might be in different spots in the journey, and we're like, okay, here we go, focus on the fundamentals, and these are the top 5. So I definitely want to thank you for sharing those as well. And yeah, I would say yes to all of those as well. Donna, my other thing is around this economic climate that we're all going through, and how it's actually affecting businesses and marketing and sales. What are your thoughts on kind of where we're currently going with the market? The fact that obviously inflation is high, and we're in a winter. Call it whatever, right? Every even business has a season, just like our personal life. So we're in the winter. What are your thoughts? Are you, even with your clients, is this affecting how you're also personally growing your business, or how is this affecting your clients, for maybe people that are looking for insight, or for us to maybe give our own perspective around maybe some of the challenges that they might be facing with their marketing and sales that maybe they haven't seen before, when we were in the spring or in the summertime, when things are easier and the sun is shining.
Right, exactly. And I think you touched on an important part there is that it's going to ebb and flow, right? We're going to have seasons in our business when sales seem to come in easier, when we don't seem to have to be working as hard on the marketing to be able to get that revenue. And we're going to have seasons where, wait a minute, this was working and it's not working anymore. I have to tweak, I have to change. And I think the most important thing here is not to get down in the dumps about it, not to get upset and sort of depressed about it, but to look at the facts. And so if the facts are, yep, my revenue is not the same as it was last quarter, right? And then evaluate, what was I doing differently? Many times it could be something that we didn't do that made a change, right? So it could be that last quarter we were running more ads, as an example, than we are this quarter. Or we dropped the ball in actually making sure our ads were working the way we want them to. And so really just going back and measuring, was I really following through on the strategies and the tactics that I wanted to implement? And then if they weren't giving the results, why? And we can't always know the why, right? I mean, the economy, we don't have any control over. We can't always know that. But if we don't know the why, thinking outside the box and what can we do to innovate? What can we do to tweak and change to still bring this product to our people in a different way? And just as an example, I have a client who sells a fairly high ticket coaching program. And yes, sales were down, right? And so she came to me and she's like, what am I going to do? Sales are down. How am I going to tell the team? They're going to get nervous. So first thing, let's look at the numbers and make sure we're being objective. Then let's look at what our behaviors were. Well, true enough, we weren't doing as much marketing as we had the quarter before. All right, so let's step up that marketing. And what's the biggest objective that we're hearing from people? Well, it's the cost. They're saying that's, I'd love to join, but the cost is a little bit. So what can we do? We already had a payment plan. We had a pay in full that was a little bit cheaper. So if someone did want that option, it was available. But then we reached out and found some financing companies that our potential clients could then work with so that we could offer an even lower plan and still get them in the door, something where they could afford to be able to join us and we were still getting those sales. So again, just thinking outside the box and making sure that, you have options there for people who may need to pay differently. What can you do? Can you break things up? Can you slice things up differently? So that, it's still swallowable. They can still get in and get the benefits from the value that you provide.
Yeah, I love your insight. And I think it's always going back to kind of just step back for a little bit rather than panic and go on survival mode where, it's that like, I'm going to try to protect everything that I have just in case, cave mode, right? Just in case I get attacked. But then look back and kind of reflect on some of the things that you might be doing to be even leaner. I find that a lot of the things that we do when we're in the summer, we don't necessarily, might need them anymore. And look at a lot of those activities that we're doing within all our operations, not just marketing and sales, and looking at the ROI, is it working? Because one of the things that kills companies and people is always the status quo. Just because we've done it this way doesn't mean that we just keep on doing it this way. We can change, we can move, we can adapt. And I think that's definitely the difference between companies that are going to stay stuck, stay small, close their doors probably, and companies that are going to thrive, innovate, figure out intuitively what's happening in the market, and then bring their product or service to market in a different way. That's kind of where innovation is born, usually out of winters, not out of summer. Just like we learn more from challenges than when things are going well.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, life and business have a lot of similarities.
Yeah, absolutely. Donna, I'm so enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for everything that you do and also the amazing wisdom that you just brought to us thus far. As we reach this point of the conversation, I'd like to get a little bit behind your purpose. Can you share a few of the most meaningful moments in your journey that led you to the work that you're doing today?
Yes. I would say definitely my purpose is to help entrepreneurs get out of the hustle and grind because I was there. So I started my business. I loved what I was doing. It was great. I was working too much, but I liked it. And my family and friends started saying, will you have time next week? What about Saturday? Can we, oh, I'm going to do this. I've got one more email. I can remember saying one more email to my kids, right? And, my husband had talked to me a few times, but it wasn't really sinking in because I was enjoying what I was doing. My husband finally said to me, something's going to break here. So you need to make a change or this family isn't going to be the way we want it to be. Whoa, now that hit me hard. I didn't want to hear it, to tell you the truth, but it really made me step back and realize he's right. I am on a one-way track to burnout. I just didn't know it. And how can I grow this thing without working 24/7? And so that's when I really had to step back and look and say, what can I do? What frameworks, what things can I put in place so that I'm not pulled into the weeds all the time? And so really my mission is to help those overwhelmed, overworked entrepreneurs step back, get out of the weeds, and really wear that CEO hat that I know they're capable of, but they just can't see it right now.
Well, thank you for sharing your journey and so many things that you said. I'm like, are you in my household? I think we can all relate to a lot of that. And yeah, I mean, I think that's also the danger sometimes when you're working on purpose because you don't feel like you're working, but
Yes.
you are sacrificing a lot of other things that are important to you. And sometimes somebody needs to come to us, like your husband in your case, and mine many times, where you're like, all right, I'm here, something's got to change. So he can like pick us up and be like, okay, I need to reflect and reprioritize and regroup, rebalance, reground myself and all of that. So I think it's always for that our highest purpose, right? Because we're probably also sacrificing some of our health and our habits and our friends or other things that we used to enjoy doing, but because we're like so into the zone, then we live in our little bubble. I feel like sometimes, especially with an online business, I feel like it's like a big internet bubble. But then when you go out on the outside world, on the real world, there's so many other things happening. So I like to harmonize both. I've learned because you just get perspective, and yeah, one thing too much of one thing it's never a good thing. So I think harmony and balance is definitely what all of us are looking for.
Yes.
Donna, thank you so much for what you just shared. Do you have a final message for our audience today? Anything that comes up maybe from the work that you do every day that you feel like, okay, this is the one thing that I wish like everyone knew as far as the educational piece or like your own experience, something that repeats for you over and over. I always like those things.
Yeah.
That
I would say for me, that would be a quote actually by James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. If you haven't read the book, check it out because there's a lot of golden nuggets in there, not just for business, but also for life. But his quote, he says that the myth is that people think there isn't enough time. And the truth is there is enough time. We need to focus on what matters most. And so I have that posted up and I reflect on it frequently because even though, I'm not in burnout mode now, even though I have some work-life balance, it's very easy to slip back into old habits. And so just really try and keep that front and center as I plan my weeks and as I decide saying yes to something or saying no to something, right? It's okay to say no to something if it's not aligned and doesn't fit with your priorities. So just really keeping that in mind as you go through your weeks and your days.
all right, beautiful wisdom. And where is it that the audience can further continue this conversation with you today, Donna?
Yeah. So my website is ceoamplify.ca. So they're welcome to pop over there. And then, of course, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook for social media as well.
All right. I would definitely encourage you to connect with one another. One of our values here is human connection. So absolutely connect. This was just the start of the conversation. Donna, thank you so much again for what you just shared, the amazing work that you're doing out there in the world to make the world a better place with your vocation, with your talent, with your skills, experience, all those things combined in your own unique way. And yeah, I want to thank you for being here. And I also want to thank you for always supporting the show so we can bring more amazing guests just like Donna, heart-driven entrepreneurs that really have a mission behind the work they do. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the show. And I will see you next time with another amazing guest and conversation. Bye, everybody. Hello, hello, dear podcast listeners. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And while we're here, I would love to introduce you to a couple of books that I've written and authored, best-selling books, in case that you're looking to add more legacy products into your life to help you scale your purpose and profits. The first book that I've written is called Connecting the Dots Backwards. And in this book, you'll have the clarity to clarify your vision and purpose so that you can do more good in the world. The second piece that is associated, that goes alongside the book, is the Connecting the Vision Backwards journal as well. So, this is meant to implement a lot of the learnings from the book so that you can also self reflect on some of that inner work that is necessary so that you clarify your purpose. The next book that I've written is called Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship. And this holds my framework, my methodology in scaling a company that aligns purpose with profit at the next level. So you'll find a connection of dots between your branding, your marketing, your sales, your systems, and your team so that you can grow a sustainable company that's simplified beyond its owner. The last book that I've written is called Visionary Purpose Driven Leadership. And this book is meant to help you scale up your leadership with your team so that you can build a healthy culture, create a conscious culture, but also, most importantly, build a legacy out of your company. And then the last piece of legacy product that I have created, of course, has stemmed from all my work with clients. And the most important skill that we need as leaders, which is time management, efficiency, and productivity. Focus on Purpose Planner is meant to help you plan your quarters and your year on purpose and on intention so that you're focused and working on the right priorities, freeing up your time and also aligning your purpose and your profit as well. Any of my products can be found right over here, left hand side, on my website, elonaleparicoaching.com/books. And or you can scan the QSR code right here on the screen to get straight to the links and the books. Happy reading, and thank you again for watching the Life School Masterclass show.